And it really was at that moment that I was like, wow, maybe it's true about Texans and they're special.
Welcome to Gone to Texas, the official podcast of the Texas Economic Development Connection. On every episode, we share the stories of business owners and CEOs who have relocated or expanded their business into Texas. Our goal is to use these stories as a guide to help others who are ready to hang a sign on the door that says, Gone to Texas. And now, please welcome your host, the managing partner and chief inspiration officer for Day One Experts, Super Dave Quinn.
All right, thank you guys for joining us on another fabulous show of Gone to Texas. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, and I'm pretty excited about our guest today. This is something that my wife and I have talked about the issues around this for, we have 3 kids and from 18 to 11, so for decades it seems like this has been a challenge. And so exciting to talk to someone who's taken it on. I'm here with Jessica Perno with Parent Day Out, the founder of a tech startup that is designed to help parents get back some personal time.
That's right.
Well, Jessica, thank you. I know we're still in the midst of COVID, and thank you for agreeing to meet with me in person, taking all the precautions. Everything was wiped down before you got here and masked, and now we're situated, so we're all good there. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time today to kind of talk about it. When I read your story, I believe it was in the DBJ, but it was via LinkedIn.
Okay.
Reached out to you, and I was so excited when you accepted my request because, again, I'm fascinated about what you're doing. The fact that you've moved from New York to Texas, which I always think is sort of a culture shock, and so I'm interested to hear about that. Give our listeners a little background about what Parent Day Out is and how it came about.
Sure. So Parent Day Out is helping parents, like you said, get a couple hours of their life back. And we're able to do so because we recognize they can't do that unless they have childcare. So our online marketplace connects families across the country with early education providers and childcare centers so they can choose a participating childcare center that works best for them. They book their reservation and they drop off their kids and they enjoy their Parent Day Out. And one of the biggest aspects of the platform is giving parents and schools a tool to really showcase everything great about their school and having one place for parents to do all their research so they make sure that they make the right decision. That was something that I found extremely difficult when I was looking for childcare myself, my friends as well. And I was really blown away by the fact that this was 2015 at the time, when I was 8 months pregnant, that there really was just no place to get meaningful information, answers to my questions online. I found myself going to multiple sources, asking random people on Facebook mommy groups for recommendations, creating my own spreadsheets. And to me, it was really a huge disservice to moms because you can look at any other industry. I mean, I know so much more about my lunch options, the cheeseburger that I want to have for lunch, than I know about my options in childcare. So the Parent Day Out platform is really solving both of those problems.
Well, and it's not like moms have just a whole ton of time extra, right?
No.
They seem not, even though a lot of people, they stay at home, they must have all kinds of time.
No.
Going by my own experience with my wife, there is 1,000 things she's doing that I know nothing about and have no idea that she's handling. And so anytime she could save a few minutes of research time, and it sounds like to me too, you give moms a sense of peace about the choices they're making, right? There's sort of you're vetting maybe not vetting, but you're able to put apples to apples and say, I'm making the best decision for my kids.
That's right. And as a new parent especially, sometimes you don't even really know the questions that you want to get answers to. You're doing it for the first time. So you don't know, hey, is it important that they serve meals? Is it important that they have a parking lot? You don't know those things going in. So this is why people are creating all these spreadsheets, because they're gathering information. And choosing a childcare is one of the earliest decisions that you're ever going to have to make when you become a parent. And it's a very important decision. So I thought there had to be a better way. And it was time technology helped in doing that.
So it wasn't like the technology wasn't there, just nobody had ever taken the technology to apply it to the problem like you're doing.
Right. So we're really aggregating information, organizing it in a way where parents can review profiles and get answers to their most pressing questions.
Okay, so this is an app that a parent downloads, or?
So it's not an app yet. That's going to be in development. Right now it's a mobile responsive website.
Okay. All right.
So, and I found when I was researching anything meaningful, I usually did it on my computer anyway. And yeah, really giving them the tools to make sure that parents are making the most informed decision that they can about who's going to take care of their kid while they cannot. And at the same time, we're giving them an opportunity to choose a center, whether for full-time enrollment or whether they want, a couple of hours to themselves.
Right. So now tell me a little bit about your background. I mean, were you a web developer? Did you have experience in doing something like this?
No. So my experience was on Wall Street. I worked and I lived in New York my whole life. And, I have a finance background. Now, my husband, who's the co-founder, he has more of a technology background. He was involved in building platforms for S&P and Thomson Reuters. So building a technology platform so investors had the tools that they needed to make the right investment decisions. And when we became parents and exposed to a whole world of problems we didn't know existed before, I knew that between the both of us that we can probably come up with a pretty good solution.
So you're from New York, always been in New York. You start a company. At what point did you start having the conversation around we need to be somewhere else? Or why did you have that conversation?
Yeah. So because we do run a technology company, in theory, we could have moved anywhere. And first and foremost, we wanted to live in a warmer climate. I think we were a bit exhausted by the 6 months of winter that we were dealing with, and, better taxes and really just a better quality of life. And we had so in the summer of 2019, we had decided, you know what, we don't have to be in New York. We can technically be anywhere. And hey, there's a whole country out there, and we're a national, a national brand. So we serve every single state. And Texas made a lot of sense to us for a couple of reasons. Number one, the climate's obviously a little bit better. Although I have to say I've been a little disappointed with the winter so far. I didn't think I was going to have to wear my winter coat as much as I do. But we came down to Dallas last summer, so summer of 2019, and we wanted to get to know the area. So what we did was we mapped out the grocery stores, because my mother-in-law had a theory that and any new neighborhood that we moved to in New York, she was always at the grocery store because she was just, I guess, checking things out. So we wanted to see what the people were like, not being from Texas and having no idea. So we mapped out the Whole Foods and we went on a little tour of the 4 Whole Foods near Dallas. Now, keep in mind, about a decade ago, my husband actually came to Dallas for a Cowboys game, and he had an amazing time, and it left a favorable impression on him. So we knew Dallas was going to be, one of the cities that we were going to explore. Plus, it had been in the news a lot recently that people were moving to Texas and Austin and things like that. But really, when you're looking for warm weather, I'm digressing a bit. When you're looking for warm weather and better taxes, you're sort of limited in your options. And it's Florida and Texas. We checked out Arizona, Scottsdale area, Phoenix, North Carolina. And
man, so you really did some research. It wasn't just like, I'm going to go to a couple of cities. And
we're moving my family, so it's an important one. The companies, we wanted to make sure that we felt right about it. So while we were at Whole Foods, back to my Whole Foods story, we were online, and something happened that just never would have happened in New York. And a register opened up while we were online, and the lady behind us said, excuse me, ma'am, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a register that just opened up, and you are next. And in New York, we literally would have gotten mowed down by the shopping cart. So I looked at my husband when she said that. I mean, it sounds like such a simple thing, but I guess after living in New York for such a long time, it was such a shocking thing that someone was kind enough,
friendly and kind.
And it really was at that moment that I was like, wow, maybe it's true about Texans and they're special. So that's really the moment that we decided that, you know what, we're going to give Dallas a chance. And Texas as a state made so much more sense to us because, first of all, I think they have such a different mindset. They're very welcoming, especially for entrepreneurs and new ideas. They don't have the walls up, I feel like, as much as New York does, or the skepticism. And Texas, behind California, is the largest state in which we have the most childcare businesses. So if we wanted to be closest to our customers, Texas has a lot of them.
Right?
Yep.
That's so fascinating. I didn't realize that's an interesting nugget of data that we have more childcare.
Right behind California,
okay.
Texas is second in the amount of childcare businesses. Yeah.
So you have the whole food experience. What was kind of the next step? I mean, you're saying you moved your family. Did your mom come too,
no.
or just your
just the three of us and the dog?
Leaving behind your infrastructure?
It was very tough. All our friends, all our family. We have no friends and family here. It's not like we were coming and we had a network of people.
Just show up on the Texas doorstep and here we are, and we'll make our way.
Yeah, and we were confident that as a unit, we'll be fine. And, nothing's ever permanent. If we don't like it, that's okay. We'll try something new. We were being flexible in that regard. But I've only been back to New York now one time since living here. And I love New York, but
it's just a plane ride away, right?
It's just a plane ride away.
Visit.
Exactly. But I mean, really what I miss about New York is not actually New York. I miss my family and friends.
Right.
Restaurants. I've been pleasantly surprised by the food here. I eat, so
it's not just all chicken fried steak and potatoes.
I haven't really looked for a bagel place or found the right pizza place. But besides those two, Texas is all right.
Well, that may be an opportunity. We need to recruit a New York pizza place.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, I mean, we've enjoyed it, and with COVID, New York is really not.
It's been a different experience for sure.
No, there's a lot of things that are closed there. It's not. It's not like we would have been living in the same environment. It would have been much more difficult, especially to launch a business like we are.
So now you make the decision. What does that process look like? What are some of the things or the steps that you had to go through? I mean, it's one thing to move. Mm-hmm. It's completely different when you say move a business. What did that look like?
Well, because we are a technology-based business, it really wasn't a big change for us, besides us having to wake up an hour earlier than we were used to. But our development team is still rocking, and nothing's really changed in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have to find an attorney to help you do the business incorporation, or did you move that, or how did?
No, we kept our same attorneys. They work on, remotely. And
so you didn't have to disengage from your infrastructure from a company standpoint.
No.
To come.
No, we really didn't have to make any changes at all. I think that's the benefit of not having a brick and mortar type of scenario.
Well, how has the business community, when you come down and you start to engage, and you don't have any, you said no friends and family, or what has that been like? How have you gone about engaging the business community or the peers? So I'm definitely still navigating through that, but I will say that the entrepreneur and startup community here is pretty active. And I've found, one of the things that I did early on was I actually was reading, I believe it was D Magazine, and they have a DCEO and a dedicated, I forgot what it was. I want to say it was its own issue of 500 or so businesses, to be on the lookout for. And I read through that magazine, and I identified some people that I thought had some similarities or went through very similar challenges that we as a startup business are going through. And I reached out to them on LinkedIn. Were they receptive?
So I reached out to quite a few, and a small percentage had, were open to discussing, and not really for anything. I'm not looking for anything.
Yeah, you were trying to sell them something.
No, of course not. I'm just looking to connect with